So I've been having a play doing some loose watercolour poppies, but then putting in some detail with some fine liner, which gives quite a nice effect. You can do, you know, it's really very loose and squiggly, but the more loose and squiggly you do it, I think the more effective it is. So I thought I'd show you how I did it. So I'll put on the colours that I've used, but what I've started with is a large brush. It's not that large, it's only about a size 10, and I'm just going to put down some water to start with in roughly a poppy shape, so where the petals might go. And then I'm mixing several different reds and just putting it in lots of water, lots of red, and then a little bit of gold, because poppies can be quite orange. Now this colour might fade, so you might want to go over parts of that. Kind of push your brush in the shape that, in the direction that your petals might be going. Now while it's still wet, so you're working quite quickly, while it's still wet, get some indigo and just pop some quite concentrated indigo in the bottom, and that will start to spread. So I'm just going to go back and get a little bit more, just add it to the bottom. Try and pull that up to the camera a bit, hopefully it will focus, and you'll see it start to spread a bit. You can, if it's not spreading how much you want, you can just go in and add a little bit of water, just to get it to spread out a bit more. You can tip your paper up as well, that's another way of doing it. So look at how the paint spreads. So that's one poppy. Now we're going to go in and do one. I'll pencil it out first. So if you've got, I'll do it in quite dark pencil, but when you do it very lightly, because it will show through. So that can be your round poppy. And then again, you can put your water down first, but I would leave a bit in the middle, just right in the centre there, where you don't put any water. And this time you're going to start from round the outside. So you've got your bit left in the middle. Just put a bit more colour. Colour in, and just do a few sploshes. We don't want it too I might just soften those edges at the top of this one just a little bit. You don't want it all too harsh. Don't mind if it runs and spills a bit. So again, we want to put some bit of gold in. Add a little bit of interest to the colour of the poppy, and then while it's still wet, just go round this edge bit with your indigo. Just keep dabbing a little bit more on. If you go too mad with it too soon, it does tend to go whoosh, and you might not want it to move quite that much. So start slowly, build it up. Now another thing you can do is you can take a toothpick and you can just sort of pull some of the indigo out. You can go back and do on there. And then we're going to get some of our sap green. I'm just going to join some of the sap green up. I'm going to leave some white in there as well. Just a little bit. Okay, and then I think we'll put one in a bud, because it's always good to have poppies or any kind of flowers in groups of 3. So I'm going to go for, this is going to be a, just putting some green down. So that's the bud just opening. Don't mind if the colours run. It's meant to be loose, so we'll just leave that like that for a minute. One of the other things that poppies have that's quite unique is they can have quite furry pods and stalks, so you can use your toothpick to pull out, can you see that, some of the hairs on the pods. And we can do that again. Now I've used a thick brush for that stalk, but I might go in a little bit with a thinner brush here. So again, I'm using some sap green, my favourite green. I'm going to try, I'm going to try not to touch that, and I touched it, doesn't matter. So I'll follow that stalk in and we'll take that one down there, and then again get your toothpick just very rough at the tops of your stalks. If you look at a poppy, they're quite furry as well. And then for the leaves, I don't tend to put much detail in the leaves. It does tend to be more just kind of a few spikes and then splodge it down and then blend it in. You can put some more detail in with the pen, and then we could have another little poppy card here. Colour in. And you can get your toothpick again. Just pull some of that out. So while we're waiting for it to dry, we can go in and see if we want to make any of it a little bit darker. You see, I don't worry about all these watermarks. I think they add character and I really like it. But I do like to get a bit of light and dark in, so I might put a little bit more colour in just in certain bits. So I'm just going in and putting some darker colour in. That one I think will have to dry a little bit more before I can do that. Colour there. And then maybe a bit more indigo. Just around the edge again. Just make it pop a little bit more. I haven't thought very hard about the composition of this one, but when you do yours, have a think about where you're placing your poppies. So this one we could do a little kind of splash coming out. Does that show up enough? A few more splatters. Could do some green splashes as well. Just make it a little bit looser, and we could have some more red splotches up there. So now I need to leave that a bit, just a bit to dry that one, because the paper's bowed a little bit, all of the indigo's running down that side, so I think I'll just give him a little more over this side. You'll notice I do a lot of dabbing as well with the kitchen roll. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that to dry now, so I'll be back in a bit. So I've let it dry for a little while, and I'm just going to go back in now and just do a little bit more adding in of details. I want to try and get the impression of that bud opening. I'm just adding a bit of shading down there, and then same with this one here, this bud here. Ooh, some of the paint's still wet, just all over my hand. I am trying not to mumble. I'm sorry if I'm mumbling. I do get a lot of feedback about my mumbling, but once I start painting, I tend to just forget. So I'm sorry. So we could go in now and think about where some of these petals might be. Just adding again a little bit difference in light and dark. If you overdo it, you can just lift it again. Just soften some of the edges. I do a lot of putting on and taking off of paint. Gives it a little bit more definition, makes it look slightly more poppy-like. Maybe I'll probably come in just at a different angle. Maybe just a little bit more colour on this one. I think because the green bled into it a bit, it took some of the colour away. Put that back in and then up to the edge a bit more, like that. And then I think I'm just going to leave that for another 5 minutes before we do some pen work on it. Right, so now I'm going to go in and add some pen detail. So these pens are, I bought a pack in the UK from Hobbycraft. You can get them on Amazon or anywhere like that. These ones are different thicknesses, and I'm going to use the thinnest one for this. And I'm just going to go around, not all the edges. Okay, so I'm just going, and I'm going to do it quite quickly. And I don't want one thick continuous line either. The quicker you go, the looser it looks, because basically it is loose. You're just going in. I don't know if you can see that. So just a few bits of character really. So that paint is still a bit wet. Now what I want to do in the middle of this one, I'm going to get the next size up I'm just going to put some dots. Let's take a thinner one and just put some stalks on those dots to try and make it look like, I'll show you a bit closer, try and make it look a bit like the bits that are coming out from the middle. And then the middle of the poppy is usually kind of a wheel shape, isn't it, there? So that will do that one. You can sort of put some more. It's up to you really, personal preference, how much of the line work you want to go in with. So I'm trying to go with a kind of folded up petal shape here, so you can see how doing those folds and lines gives that impression. And then this one, keep putting my hand in that big blob of green there. So I'm just going to stick some of the hairs on. And then I might go to the next size up. Add some of the leaf detail in. Then the last thing to do is just initial it. And there you go. You can put a little bee in if you want, or add some daisies, but that is basically how you do it. I hope you found it useful.